So what is your opinion about a Christian rock band? And what does a Christian rock band stand for? What do they believe? We're going to dedicate this whole episode to the band called Empowered. His visit to Georgia. This is really, really cool. Maybe you are a musician that needs to kind of an inside scoop on how to market yourself. So here's a little history about the band. They won the drum. They won for the 2022 Original Music Contest, but Benny, he insisted coming to Georgia to pick it up. Like shipping it wouldn't be good enough. He really wanted to see, and so I said, yeah, totally. We have an Airbnb at the shop. Sometimes drummers want to come down and try out a drum. He actually come to the shop, man, and I got to be able to really dive in deep. A lot of times Christian rock bands, will be living two totally different type lifestyles, and that's kind of big. And I'm really kind of blown away, man. I seen him. He literally got up and prayed for a guy in the restaurant. And and I was really blown away. And we meet like that, you feel it. You feel the connection. And, Benny is one of these guys. And throughout the whole episode, we really kind of get to know him and his walk of faith. This song right here is chosen. And I think the reason why is because it definitely, it stands for something, one thing. It stands for faith. It stands for what's going to happen on the other side. Are you going to meet your loved one there? And yes, we're going to talk more about his faith and his personal walk at the very end of this episode, closer to the end of this episode. Okay, thanks for waiting and welcome to the episode. Benny DeSera, I want to welcome you to the Outlaw Process podcast, man. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to hang in person.
Yes, finally, man.
Finally.
I can't wait to tell the audience and tell everybody kind of what's going on with you guys and how we're even doing this podcast. We got a lot to talk about.
We do. So here's the thing. As an artist, you connect through social media, especially and all that, you connect to those people who are important to you or who you feel are important to you, right? Yeah. And so like I've got promoters, I've got venues, I've got labels, I've got stations, right. But also have music companies that we kind of link up mm-hmm. with. And so I had linked up with you, and this is probably before 2017. And, you would post some really killer pics of drums, man. And I'm like, because nothing sounds better than wood, people. I'm just telling you, nothing. You cannot beat the resonance because a wood drum or a wood drum kit to me is like having an additional vocalist in your band, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I did that.
Yeah.
So, and it's true, right? Because it brings warmth and intensity and all that kind of stuff. And so you had posted a couple of pictures, and I'm like, dude, that is just that one straight up. And you're like, yeah, man. And it was just random, right? I mean, we knew each other through social media, and then you had gone through something, and we kind of touched base on that a little bit, and just did it, and we've been doing that since way back.
Yeah.
Then as I'm on social media, then I see your post about this contest, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I felt like we had a relationship already. So if there was a way that I could even be involved with it, it didn't matter if you win it or not, right? Yeah. But if you could be involved in that and help support you with something that you were trying to do, that was my main thought process. So I'm like, I can do that. I didn't tell my wife. I just did it. And so, and then I look, and I had put 3 days up, but then I'm looking at, then it says, oh, you can do 2. And I was like, and as I'm going through that, then I'll Meet You There is the latest single that we did. And so, then God got a hold of me and said, you need to submit that. And I was like, when he tells you to do it, you better do it. Yeah. So I did it. And then here we are.
And you drive a pretty good ways down here, man.
Yeah, you're just 7 hours away, man.
7 hours, man. But that
easy peasy.
I'm so honored that you came for, because you guys are rocking, man. Some of those videos, I didn't even realize you had y'all. That video was amazing. All y'all stuff is amazing. And
yeah,
I'll tell
thanks.
You, it's just really good and it's inspiring. And what I really love about you guys, man, is just like y'all put in the work. Y'all put in the work.
You
A lot of people don't want to do that, do they?
No, you have to. See, because you custom build drums, you're putting in more work than... You're not going to the music store and scooping a $200 kit from you. You're just not, because it's all assembly line and, and then it's just pieced together, whatever. But when you're a craftsman like you are with your drums, there's more investment into it. There's more love into it. There's more passion into it. So all of that, believe it or not, comes out in sound in what you produce, right? And so as artists, especially, we have to be... I did an interview last week, and we were talking about that, and I tell people all the time, I mean, because we're straight up a Christian rock band. Right. We just are. And so unashamedly, ba-boom.
Hey.
And so they were like, what are you thinking when you're on stage? And I'm like, for us, if you're not moved by the music and you're not moved by the message that's behind the music, and you don't feel that coming across the footlights, we need to quit and just go do birthday parties or something. I mean, we just need to quit, because there's obviously not been enough prep time or time in, like we're talking about, right? And this isn't something that happens overnight. And everybody thinks you blink and it's done, and
you can't. You got to put the work in.
You got to put the work in.
So how hard do you think it would be for you guys staying committed towards the goal of, like you're saying, once you create the album, that's one part, but now it really comes to work to promote that album and to push that kind of stuff, right?
That's a great question. You know what an answer that's a great question. If you're unwilling to put in the time to create it, you will not be willing to put in the time to promote it.
Ooh.
Oh, where's a mic I can drop?
Yes.
I'm just seriously, right? Because because the studio time is exciting. You're all in the studio, you're laying tracks, you're singing over each other, you're joking on each other. You have just the little jokes between the band going on. So all that's fun. Yeah. Then you take that from the studio once you have it, and you go do shows. And guess what? Shows are fun for everybody. They are. It is we do strictly original stuff, so we don't do any covers. And so it's even more fun when you're doing original material, because it's new and nobody's heard it and it's fresh, and you have a new perspective to the audience, and you can go back and forth and all that's fun. So you have fun on the front and you have fun on the end.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's that middle part.
Yeah. Yeah.
The promotion part, which is work. So there's two things you can do. You can pay somebody to promote it.
Yep.
Or you can promote it yourself. And so, but even if you pay somebody to do your promotion, you've got to put in the work for that too. They can't promote something they know nothing about. Yeah. So I think in everything's process, right? Yeah, process. So if you don't go through the processes of creating, in the process of playing, that's just sheer joy. So that's done. You will not go through the process of promotion. And I guess that's a better way to say what I said earlier. It doesn't sound as harsh that way, right?
Right.
Sorry for the harshness, folks.
So tell me about your band. Tell me about Empowered.
Yeah,
tell me about these guys.
Yeah, Empowered. So
you're the singer.
Yeah, I founded the band. I write it, and
you write all the music.
Yeah, and so, but for me, the way I do it is I write a song. Shane Madare Jr., lead guitar. He's like Eric Johnson on steroids. He's sickeningly, disgustingly talented. Justin Burdett is our other guitarist, equally sickeningly talented, right? So they're like, let's do this in a drop B and diminished seventh. And I'm like, y'all go talk in the corner, man. I don't want to hear that. And so they do that, right? Jeff Maddox is our bassist, and he's the youngest guy in the band. And then Mick Capdeville is on drums. And when I say tight I mean, Tupperware is trying to hire him away because he's tight. And so you have all that. And so what I'll do when I write the song is I say, okay, Shane, look, here's the general gist. And what can we do to this? Just bring me what God gave you, right? Same to Justin, same to Mick on drums, same to, and then we put it all together. And then by the time we put it all together, Mikey Howard is our producer, and then he'll have his outside the bubble ideas, and we wind up with what we wind up with. So it's a fun process to do the writing that way. Plus, everybody's inclusive that way. But when you're excited about the process of creation, you'll also be excited about the process of promotion. And there's a reason that when we were talking, I said, "Hey, listen, I really want to meet you in person. We've known each other over years. I want to come." And would you say, "Yeah, when?" And here we are. And because this might be something for your musicians listening. You'll never replace this. You'll never replace personal interaction ever. Nobody's ever done a live show in an empty place.
Wow.
Unless that wasn't promoted right? But you don't go to play a show in an empty hall or an empty arena or you just don't. And so you've got to, it's personal. It's between you and the listener. You don't book a show without talking to the person who does that for the venue. It's a person. And I'll talk to radio stations all the time, and they're like, I'll get emails from bands, and it'll say, "Hey, can you play this song?" And there's an MP3 attached to it. And I'm like, Michael, it breaks my heart, man, because when I approach a radio station, I'm sending them a full electronic press kit. So they've got everything, all of the interviews, all the songs, all the videos, just everything that they need to see who you are and what you're all about. And the only reason I do that is I do that after a phone call when I connect with them. If I can't connect with them, I'll send that email and then say, "I'd really love to talk to you about this." But I drive to stations. So Shreveport, we're on in Shreveport and in Monroe, Louisiana, and that's about a 4-hour haul from Baton Rouge. And so
you'll physically.
I go do artist visits.
Physically go to the station and say, "Hey."
Bring them a press kit. Bring them the music.
Yes, let them know about it. That's what folks don't want to do. They think that just because they got the music. I mean, believe it or not, even the drums that kind of work like that too. Like building the drum is kind of the easy part.
Yeah.
That's really the easy part. Now what you do with it?
Yeah.
It could be the best drum in the world.
Yeah, and so you have to have skin in the game.
Yeah.
Right, and especially, I mean,
yes.
All right. So think about this. Most musicians, most artists, I think, even me. Now I'm doing like for what we do. We're doing it for a little bigger purpose. But we love being able to be out there live and just doing the thing, right? And you just want to be known for your music and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But that's why I do personal visits to radio stations, because they're floored by that. They're like, artists don't do this anymore, and I'm like, well.
So what is your goal and purpose at this? What's your end goal?
My end goal. Hey, so back in the day, I grew up in New Orleans, so.
Because I want to hear about you had brain injury.
Yeah,
I want to hear about that.
I've got long story short, like I grew up in New Orleans, born and raised. When I had hair, I had a lot. It was a lot, and I had a secular rock band, all original, and we were trying to be famous, right? Just out there trying to be famous, man, playing shows, saw stuff I never want my kids to see, but we were out there we were going through what we had to go through to get where we wanted to go, right? So
paying the dues,
as they say. So, but that's a good thing. Back to the promotion part, isn't it? You got to pay the dues there too. Pay the dues. There's so many we need to make a T-shirt.
We should totally do that.
Pay the dues, put in the time. Are we writing this down? Yeah, Are we writing these down? So there's that, and then it just didn't do it. So, and then I'd been in church my whole life, and then people would say, like, that crazy thing, like, are you saved? And I'd run from them because
Yeah.
that was crazy.
Yeah.
It's written in red, right? So Jesus spoke that, but I was
Right.
weirding out about it. And I was in church, though. This, that, and the other. And for me personally, I got invited to a church one day, and I figured out what that was all about, and life changed like in a day. And so I'm sitting there having a discussion with God one day, and I'm like, what do you want me to do with this music? Because it rocks a little bit, and I don't want to do tambourines and hallelujah. I'll vomit maybe. I want to, because how you wired me. I want to see it. And he's like, man, have I been waiting for you? Because the thing about Christianity in general, I think, is it's available to everybody, and it doesn't mean you're a stick in the mud. People come to our shows, they don't even know we're a Christian rock band until 2-3 songs in, because they're starting to hear the lyrics, right? Because it's a party for Jesus from the stage when you come to our show. I'm just telling you, I'm running all over the place. We're doing stuff, and there's just a joy and a passion that elevates. And so we're trying to make Jesus famous, although I don't think he needs help. And with that, but what we're really trying to do is exhibit the talents that we've received from him to affect people in a positive way, right? No matter what it is, we want to affect people in a positive way.
Overcoming obstacles. So tell me about this brain.
So 6.5 years ago now, it is. It's October. It's like 2015, whatever. I'm staying up late because there's this big election going on. I'm the politico in my house. My wife is not, and I like to know. And there was a lot of crazy people running for office. So I watched the news to find out who's the least crazy and who lines up with me the most, right? And I fell asleep on a sofa. So my alarm is on my phone, which was on my bedstand in my bedroom, locked up with my wife, because I had fallen asleep on the sofa in the living room. You like that setup? Yeah. So at 6:30, my phone starts screaming. So if you're a married man and your alarm is screaming in the bedroom and your wife's in there sleeping, but you're not in there to turn it off, I'm like, uh-oh, this is not going to be good. And so I remember her coming out of the door to the bedroom holding my phone extended. I stood up from the sofa, and I remember her holding it out, and I've got like a 20-minute gap of zero memory of anything. So she told the neurosurgeons that I walked over to the windows in the living room on our hardwood floors, and when she went to hand me the phone, I was horizontal already. And he's like, socks, wet floor, none of that. How did he catch himself? He did not. He just went straight down. So when I hit the back of my head, and she said it sounded like a gunshot went off. So I had a double fracture in the back of my skull and a frontal lobe crush. So I didn't break the skin or anything, but I was not aware of what had happened. So she said that I had tried to crawl towards the recliner, and she says, no, come lay down in the bed. And so I followed her in her bedroom. Now I'm a Navy corpsman, Navy medic in my past life, right? So you just don't lay down after a head injury. You can sleep yourself into a coma. And so, but I wasn't with it. So I get into bed in about 10 minutes, and I'm even at your worst low, some things God allows in your previous life, like being a Navy medic, comes back to you. All that training, the time spent, where it is again, comes back. And so room spinning, nausea, dizziness, hearing weird, whatever. And I said, we need to go. And so we went to the emergency room. So ER, ICU, several days in hospital, more MRIs and CT scans than I can tell you. I should be able to see through stuff.
Did you have to?
Yeah, I was non-existent. When we got done after 3 days, I couldn't. So I didn't bleed or anything, right? Because I didn't break the skin. And the blood had to go somewhere. So I bled out into my face. Like my eye into my cheek was like purple and green and orange. I had some really cool colors, kind of like that. And so going, the doctor's like, listen, I'm gonna send you home. Just know that you're gonna sleep a lot. That's how the brain heals itself. And so there's that, and you need to be elevated. So the first month, I slept 20 hours a day in the recliner. Never left the recliner in my living room. So Donna became a full-time nurse, and she Ensure, a little bottle of Ensure because I wasn't eating, a little bottle of Powerade because I needed fluid, and meds every 3 hours around the clock. And so I remember none of it. I don't remember my parents visiting. I don't remember my kids visiting. I don't remember my friends visiting. They would all sit in the living room and basically visit with Donna, and I was just there.
Yeah.
So couldn't move. I mean, and it was 30-something pound weight loss, and it was crazy. And so the second month, I started coming out of it, but I couldn't talk correctly. And this is devastating when you're the lead singer of your band, right? It's just not good. So if we were talking, I would say, Michael, so 2017-ish,
Yeah.
we would talk. And dude, this is how it was coming out of my mouth, right? Because what I was doing is I would see the words in my head, and I would go, oh, those go together. And then I would say them. So I was speaking the way I saw it. And so which was like, not like this. It was just really slow. And so, the family's like, is this the new dude, And so all that, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. Had a walker to get around my house. A walker. Yeah. I'm like, come on, man. So, but hey, God's in miracle business, man. And if you ever doubted a miracle being real, you're talking to him today. So I don't have smell or taste, but everything else came back. And I'm okay with that because we're talking today.
Yeah. So you said you did lose your smell and your taste.
Yeah. And it wasn't even COVID, man. That was years before COVID.
Yeah. I don't know what I would do if I lost my ears, though. Being able to hear.
Right. Yeah, it's a little different. Your other senses compensate, but I'm Italian, I'm Sicilian, so I don't care about the nose much, but man, I love me some food, and I would just love to taste it again,
Wow.
But
yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, but like I've said,
that's a good weight loss though.
Not really, because it's sustenance, right? So I eat for sustenance now, but again, the other side of it is, I've been able to come out and have this visit. So guess what? I vote no taste. I'm good with that. I'm just good with it.
It's really amazing that the path, the path that he prepares for us. We have no clue, and if we think we got it figured out, you made that comment earlier. That you think you got it figured out, just wait a little bit.
Yeah, we don't have nothing figured out. It's bigger than us. It's just way bigger than us. And so for me, that's, I shared a personal story with you before about the third cut on the record, on the 3 days record, right? Which is Jeremiah 29:11. And that was one of the.
Is this the record? This is the one the CD you're talking about here.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which one?
This one here.
Cool.
That's the one. And so three days was born out of we had been playing 3 days a little bit, live from the stage. Mikey hadn't gotten his magic beanie producer hat on it yet, but we were playing it. As a matter of fact, when we opened for his band, because Seventh Time Down is his band, and so when we were opening for them, we closed the show with that, and it was lit then, and it's lit now. So it's like one of our favorite live. It's like one of our favorite live songs. So, but the third song on there came out of my recovery, and it just grabs people. But that's what it's supposed to do, So every song.
Well, that's kind of what Morg was saying. She was saying how that song just immediately affected her quarterback.
Yeah.
Tell me about the meaning of the Daddy song, because y'all won the contest for this snare drum. So tell me the meaning behind. If I know it's kind of an emotional topic,
Kind of.
you know,
Kind of, but not really, but kind of.
because my dad passed away about 5 years ago in the shop. He was woodworking together. He passed. So anything kind of relate. I mean, we definitely miss our dads, you know. And
We do.
And so tell me exactly the meaning behind the Daddy song.
Yeah, I will. So, hey, the biggest thing my daddy taught me was integrity. He had his own roofing company, and he's like, do it right, do what you promise. You know, he was that guy. So he had heart issues his whole life. He's had more plumbing work done than he had a quintuple bypass, and he had stents all in his heart, and he had stents in his legs, and I mean, and I'm the oldest of six, and I'm telling my sisters and my brother, I'm like, you know, one day Dad's boop, be ready.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and so a year and a half ago, he had some pain in his hip, and he tells my mom, he says, you know what? I think I have a blood clot in my hip because my hip's hurting. Because he was mafia. He was very Sicilian because his mom and dad came to America from Sicily, right?
Ooh.
And so very close to the vest, don't show a lot of emotion kind of guy, whatever. And he was He-Man, or we called him Iron Man. Me and my sisters and my brother, we called him Iron Man. So Mr. Invincible. And so he just held on to what he was feeling, I guess, for a while. And he goes to the doctors, and they get him checked out. And they said, well, dude, you have like cancer. And he says, really? And they said, yeah, really. So he goes, like how bad? And that's my dad. He just wants, you know, just
be blunt with me and tell me
what's out there. And, you know, they're like, get your stuff in order. So he's like, really? And they go, yeah. And he's like, I'm not doing chemo. Okay, I'll try chemo. And this, that, and other. Well, from the date of diagnosis to the day he went to heaven was like 9 days.
Wow.
It was like that. And so at the end of like within the last 2 days or so of his life, I was visiting with him. And I'm like, so Dad, I need to talk to you. And he's like, what? And his nickname for me is Pastor Boy. So I just, whatever, Dad. So, and he's like, what, Pastor Boy? And I'm like, listen, not only do you have a place at the buffet table, you have a name tag set out. So I need you to tell me you know where you're going. Yeah. And if you don't want to tell me for you, I need you to tell me for me because it's important, right? And he goes, yes, Pastor Boy, I know where I'm going. And I said, Dad, any other day that would be a cute answer, man, but not today. So he tells me, right? And he's like, hey, Jesus died. He rose again. I believe that. I'm going to heaven, right? I'm like, you're absolutely right. Doesn't matter what the doctors say. And to be honest with you, it's going to be great for you and it's going to suck for us. It's just going to kind of suck for us if I'm being real. So there's that. I said, but you know what's cool about it is I know your address. So I know I'm going to see you again. So he says, all right. So this is in October.
Yeah.
So we go through the whole thing and he passes and we get through all that. Then in November, I go to Kentucky to get with Mikey because we did our Christmas version of We Three Kings, and it's rowdy. You would like it. It's awesome. And so I'm going to cut the vocals for it because everything else was done. And he's like, what's going on with your daddy song? And I'm like, yeah, that. Because I had told him, you know, God put on my heart, you need to write a song about it to help people.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how do I do that?
Yeah.
How do I wrap my head around that, man? And so, but it all came down to and came back to, as sad as I was through that process, joy always supersedes sadness. Every time. Like every time. And because I know his address and where he is, that's where the title of the song came from, man. Yeah. I'll meet you there. And so it's about that, right? So for anybody who's gone through loss like we have with our dads or with anybody, family member, anything, it doesn't even have to be that. It could be loss of a job or, hey, loss of yourself. and you just kind of don't know where you are, just know you're covered. And so hopefully for us, when we do that song, it's just the lyrics and the feel of the song just grab you. And some songs grab you, but like when we write, we want our songs to grab you and not let go of you for a while. Maybe shake you up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And and hopefully that would happen. That's what happened with that. So we just wanted to speak to people, hey, and bring them joy in that, because there is joy in it.
Through your sadness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Everything changes.
It does change.
It's gonna change.
It does change. See, hey, and we relate. We can relate.
Because it's kind of going through those experiences is going to teach us who we are. It's the different ones. Everybody wants to just kind of, it's all want to just stay in the good experiences. Well, you can't have the good ones without the bad ones either.
That's right. And as an artist, especially a musician, we have the gift of being able to express these things through music, where a majority of people can't do that. And so it's a high calling for that, right? And just to be able to use that gift just to help anybody else out there who's going through something like that. Man, you put there's no royalties that top that. There's no money in the bank top that.
Facts, man.
There's just none of it tops that. So kind of that's what we're all about in a nutshell. But we bring it with a little party. Yeah.
I mean, y'all have an amazing rocking sound, man, and like I said, that's why it was so drawn to you, man. So let me ask you a question. Are you gonna have any time, being that this is you was talking about having all the bottle caps on this drum right here, and the different spots and the different, being able to relate to some of the things. I feel like how God can make anything glorious. Right?
Anything.
Because this is made with beer bottles.
Anything. Abita. We talked about Abita. Abita's on here. And guess where that's from? That's from the North Shore of New Orleans, between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, where I'm from, and it's on there. So good Lord, the book is full of really horrible things that shouldn't have happened, and Jesus came and made it right? You had a woman, and she was doing adultery, and everybody's about to throw rocks at her, and he goes, hey, if y'all are unguilty, throw one, and they don't, right?
Yeah.
So he steps in and took something ugly or different than what most people thought and made it gorgeous, right? Because he said, okay, just don't sin again. And so she gets that. And you look throughout the Bible, he never used perfect people. Everybody was stupid. And like King David, greatest king of all time, not only did he mess around, he tried to offer husband. And then eventually he did offer husband, right? Yet he's still the greatest king in the Bible. Right. And so I think
God called him a man after his own heart.
Yeah, that's right. And so I'm like, well, if David could be redeemed, I guess I can. So and that's it. So he takes everything. Like, my life was a total mess, and I didn't think it was before I came to actually know him. Total mess. Had no idea that it was. And then once I knew what it meant, right, I'm like, man, I'm a total mess. But that's when you okay, y'all ready for it? When you put the work in and you acknowledge that, you can move forward. And it's the same thing with anything, especially music, and the ability to take some of these stories and experiences that we go through and share. Man, if Taylor Swift didn't have ex-boyfriends, she wouldn't have a career. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. And so just as an example. Yeah. So it's kind of, it's a cool thing. Yeah. Really cool thing.
So tell me about some of y'all's shows. Do people get saved at y'all's shows? How does that?
If you do a show in a church or at a religious music festival, something like that, maybe, sort of, kind of, not many, right? Yeah. Because everybody who goes knows. But if you do some shows out in the secular world, you have a better opportunity. And so we'll play anywhere, to anybody, anytime, any place. I'm working on a show right now in Hell's Kitchen, New York.
Really?
Yes. And I'm thinking that's so awesome to go do a show in Hell's Kitchen in Brooklyn. So
That'd be cool.
it would be way cool, right? Boy, I'd love to market that one. So it's, you know, and if we get that show, we'll just go melt the devil's face off is what we're going to do.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter who we play to or where we play to, because in my mind, great music is great music regardless of the genre.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, a lot of people thinking like Christian music has got to be like just pews and just like hymns and stuff like that, you know.
No.
But I really like what you guys do is really put a spin, like put a more of a modern rock feel,
Yeah.
but the same gospel message, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Singing about peace and hope and love and, you know, bringing people together and just things that just connect people instead of push people away.
Yeah. Like when we cut this last record, Nashville's like, so you want to know what we think? And I'm like, sure. And they're like, Boston, Journey, Bon Jovi, Imagine Dragons. I'm like, what's that? And they go, that's who we think you sound like. Does that offend you? I'm like, let's review who you just mentioned. No, that doesn't offend me. That's awesome. Yeah. And, you know, and one of the things when I got saved, one of the things that, you know, you immediately gravitate to like K-Love or this, that, and the other. But I was like, I felt like even though it was Christian music, it was missing, for me, this is me, I felt like it was missing right? It didn't really speak because like you said, it was mostly, it was really mild. And it was really, you know, we don't want to get in your face. Well, guess what? I want to get all up in your face because that's what God told me to do. Yeah. So when we do it, we just bring that, and we're just real guys. Yeah. Doing what we do, right? Just like anybody else, just like you, just like me, just like if we go down the street to the gas station, just like them. And nobody's really different. It's just where we are and what we do with it. You know, I tell people a lot of time, just, our gift back to him is how we live out our life. Yeah. And that's it. So that's kind of what we do. But we have an advantage because we get to have lights. We get to have amps. Amps are good. We get to have thunder, and that's what we call our bass drum. So we get to do that. Thunder. And so we get to have all that, and then just bring joy to people and give them a great show. But there's a meaning and a purpose behind it. Yeah.
Bringing light and showing God's love, man.
That's it. In a crazy way.
It's crazy. And like I said, a lot of people, if they could put down the judgy glasses for a little bit and just kind of be open for something new and different, be amazed at some of, you know, how God can work with you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just so set and locked in on one specific way that sometimes it's hard to go down another path or try something different, or, you know? And it's through that, you know, we can really figure out who we are. Just migrate and just, you know, I like where my dad was an old electrician. He'd always call it troubleshoot.
Right.
You want to troubleshoot this and troubleshoot that. I'm talking about constantly troubleshooting myself and constantly troubleshooting a lot of things that I got going on, trying to make it work. This doesn't work, that doesn't work, and just kind of keep maneuvering our way through this jungle. So tell me about what you guys think when you heard that you won this snare drum. What did you think about it?
Well, you know, I saw the top 5 thing come through. And
did you listen to all the songs?
I did. Cool, different, all of them. Dude, Spaceman. There's a space. I'm like, oh, he's in it. He's in the zone, man. The first band reminded me of Skillet. I think I'd mentioned just
Huxley.
They were on it, and just, you know, good stuff and different. I had a friend of mine go, hey, was this a Christian rock thing? I'm like, no, which is even cooler. So no, it's cooler. And so I listened to them and everything going through, and so my wife was like, what are you listening to? I'm like, the top 5. And she says, oh, okay. And she says, wow, made the top 5. And I'm like, yep. I said, what a blessing is that, you know? So, and for me, win or lose didn't matter. People are hearing the music, and hopefully that song's message will speak to somebody. She says, okay. And then you said the thing about Thursday. So Thursday we'll do a live reveal or whatever. I like how you handled that too, how you sat and like broke down basically as judges what y'all were listening to in each song, and that was cool. And listening to your responses, I had no idea.
Because when you went through
you played that close to the vest, man.
It was weird because, man, anytime you got to start judging original music, man, it's just like, it's hard because it all sounds good. You know, we can kind of be bent towards our personal favorite. You know, the ones and so that's why I want to get a group of people up. And
it's always the best way, right? Yeah. And so
it took me some time to do it. Originally, I was going to have the winner that day, but I was just like, you know what? I don't feel like this. I'm giving this thing ample time to be able to process the bands that have been selected. We need to spend more some time. Yeah. And the next year, I think what I'm going to do is once we pick the top five, I'm going to have everybody kind of comment on them.
Yeah, that's cool. That'd be cool.
And then kind of let them kind of pick.
Yeah, and they get kind of a different comment.
Yep. For everybody else.
Yeah, that's cool.
Being kind of inside, you know, that way, because we did kind of get some people that kind of got a little offensive about it. It's like, hey, my stuff sounds better than that. Blah, blah. I'm just like, you know, back up, man, back up.
As artists,
people get funny about that.
Because it's your stuff. One of the biggest things, let me say this to you, Michael Outlaw. One of the coolest things that came across your lips in that was many bands and artists write stuff and record their own stuff and don't do anything with it. Yeah. And I was like,
they don't.
I'm like, he's preaching. He's preaching right now, and they are right. But then they take, you take a chance and you do something like what we're talking about with the contest or whatever, and then you have I listening to the top five. I mean, I had thoughts about the other bands. None of them like, well, if we don't get it, something's up. I mean, It wasn't like that. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to submit your stuff and have an outlet to do so. B, it's a blessing to even come into the top five, and C, it's a super blessing to actually get it. Yeah. And so if your perspective is that way, you're golden, right? Because it's not about you. It's like as an artist or a band, I never want to try to write a hit. Yeah. Because if I do that, it's fake. Yeah. All I'm trying to do is write a hit. Something I'll get on radio or YouTube and get my little whatever spins on YouTube or whatever, and then you have 10 minutes of fame. But that's all you have is 10 minutes of fame. I'd rather take my time, write something of substance that's going to relate to people that may have gone through something in their life similarly, and that can help them, and it lasts more than 10 minutes, right? They can go back to it and go, man, I really like that song. I'm going back and listen to that again because that spoke something to me. And I mean, that's kind of ultimately, as an artist, no matter how big you get, if you can stay there, I think you've accomplished something.
Yeah. But, man, I just want to say thank you so much, man, for coming and doing this and, really, truly, like you said, man, putting your hands to the plow, man. Putting your hands to the plow and going forward with it.
That's right. That's how it gets done. That's how it gets done.
That's how it gets done.
Yes.
There it is. Thank you so much.
Yes, man. Yes.
It's a nice drum.
It is a beautiful drum.
It is.
Yes.
Cool, man.
Just want to say thank you for listening to another episode of The Process, and thank you for everybody that participated in the 2022 Original Music Contest. Huge shout out to Amy Lane. Thank you for all the hard work, and huge shout out to all the judges that take place in this. And Empowered. These guys are really amazing. And if you want Empowered to come play at your church or your event, you can hit the link in the description here, and we'll be able to kind of follow you, to see if they're available. And I just want to say thank you again so much. This has been so much fun, and we want to do this again. And also, if you want to take a rental trip, I don't know if you've heard of Airbnb yet. So this is your first Airbnb experience?
We actually stayed in an Airbnb for our honeymoon.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But in Brazil.
In Brazil?
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard Airbnb, they have really done some really cool things with their app. So literally, if you want a cool, different experience, we offer a place where on the property where Outlaw Drums, where we make our custom drums at, that you can come and stay on one of our Airbnb properties that we have. We have 2 of them, and they're getting booked up pretty good for the summer. We're already about 6 weeks completely booked up. You know, you may want to try out a drum or so. You may just want to kind of just go to look for something different. You know, I've got some drums available, and I got some drums I can build you some. Or maybe you just want to come down and just kind of change the scenery a little bit. You know, so you want to message me and kind of tidy me down. If there's something that you're interested, you may want to make sure you can kind of reach out through email. You know, let's kind of touch bases beforehand, because you don't want to have somebody overbooked or me not be in town or something, because I'm real busy kind of running around traveling and stuff like that. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, and I love you guys so much, and God bless you, and peace, and just keep practicing, keep playing the drums, and keep lifting people up, man. All right, see ya.
Appreciate you, man.
Man, love you, man. You the best, Mike.
You are.
No doubt.